Hey everyone, I'm Marcel and back with the Pulse. We've got a big episode today. Going to cover the judge's order. We got details. The actual decision was released this week and it is stunning. It is a rebuke of the FDA. Basically, the judge told the FDA to back off NMN until there's a final decision, back off, it stays on the market. You made it legal at one point and then you reversed your decision, you're going to reverse it back. This came from the judge. This was a pretty strong indication of where the judge stands on the initial arguments. We don't know about Metro Biotech yet joining the lawsuit, but there is a stay in the lawsuit, which I think is going to vanish based on the election results. I'll talk a little bit about that in a moment, but I think this case against NMN or over NMN is about to vanish. It's going to stay a supplement. That's just my strong belief, but that's been my belief for 2 years. Like, guys, I've said this over and over again. We're going to win this, and here we are. I didn't know it was going to unfold like this. I didn't know it was going to be so dramatic and so abrupt and so related to politics, but yet here we are. And we're in the winning position. Now we have some more work to do. We have to protect the supplement industry going forward from all these changes and make sure they don't have a detrimental impact on the supplement industry. So there are still fights to be had. There are still battles to be won. But this is a huge battle. And it was the judge, as I had postured, as I had predicted. The judge was the one that told the FDA, you must respond to the citizen petition. So this is coming from the judge. The decision to put it back on the market, to reverse, and to insist that they respond to the citizen petition was all coming from the judge, according to Natural Products Association. So bravo to Dan Fabricant and his team, his wonderful team over there at MPA. They won it. MPA stays, the FDA lost, and now even Amazon is reviewing the judge's decision about reinstating. I believe NMN will be reinstated. Now that creates more responsibility for us to police them, to warn people of the fakes that end up trickling through with such a decision. But I believe that Legit Scripts, by the way, Legit Scripts has removed NMN from the problematic ingredient category that triggered it to be removed in the first place from Amazon, from Google, YouTube. Now YouTube does a sweep, does an update periodically. I don't know if it's quarterly, I don't know if it's monthly, but YouTube has not yet removed NMN as a problematic ingredient. Therefore, videos are still flagged for NMN. Traffic is still going to be reduced here when I talk about NMN, and ads won't be allowed yet. However, as soon as they update their listing based on Legit Scripts has removed NMN as a problematic ingredient. So that is a huge victory, and that just shows you that this judge's decision has teeth, has impact, real impact about getting NMN back on the market and keeping it back on the market. Now, briefly, I'm going to talk about something I'd rather not talk about, but we can't ignore it, okay? The election. And I want to state first and foremost, I'm a centrist. And the world is not black and white. It's not win or lose. There's always going to be color. There's always going to be nuance. There's always going to be gray area. And when you're in the middle, you're used to politics being a revolving door. And the Democratic Party was in power for 12 of the last 16 years. So as a centrist, I sit back and say, you know what? The winds are going to blow the other direction. It's just how things work. It's how politics work. So now it's the turn of the other side again, and it just so happens it's someone a lot of people don't like. As far as Trump goes, I think he's mellowed. I think he's going to do probably better than he did the first term. But we will see. We'll see how it unfolds. I'm not against them. I was never against Biden doing well. I just got very hung up on the multiple wars, and I got very frustrated, obviously, with NMN and what the FDA was doing. And I think the FDA, and this is in the news, right? The FDA is going to be reformed, rebuilt from the bottom up. The current management is out. You guys, as I said last week, you need to update your resumes because Carol Welch and the whole crew at FDA, they're all going to be on their way out. We're going to see new leadership. Doesn't mean everything's going to be perfect right away. It just means we're finally going to see significant, if not a massive overhaul of the FDA and also probably the CDC. Health in general, nutrition in general is going to be overhauled at the federal level, and we get to play a role. we get to play a role in it as a reporting mechanism here. It's a great position to be in. And that's our responsibility to make sure that the Chinese tariffs don't decimate the vitamin and supplement industries, right? So we have things that we can fight for and try to protect in this new political climate. We have to be active. We have to be involved. We can't just shudder up and cry and get upset because maybe things didn't go some of the way that we wanted it to go. And some people are very excited and very celebratory, and that's great. Good for you. Congratulations. But there's more work to be done. The real work begins. And in our realm, in the supplement, nutrition, longevity fields, we have to protect our natural ingredients. We have to protect our rights. And we have to fight for better nutrition for the public because it's costing all of us dearly to have such a health crisis ongoing and so many chronic diseases. These things can be greatly reduced by nutrition alone and living better lifestyles. People need to be educated. You shouldn't block content like this channel when we talk about such things because we're talking about eating healthy, exercising, sleeping right, and taking maybe a few dietary supplements that have passed safety tests. So we're not saying anything that should be outside the realm of acceptability in the general public. And that's why it gets me so upset and hot under the collar when the FDA does things like this, and it causes this domino effect of YouTube to come back and punish people like myself for doing nothing but reporting our own results from changing our lifestyle. And because I'm not talking about drugs, I get reduced. That's got to stop. And Google has to get the memo that times are changing. But it's going to start at the FDA, and then it's going to domino down to legit scripts, and then Amazon, and then Walmart. People are going to get the message. There's also the integrity of the supplements that are on the market, that they meet the actual definition of what's on the bottle, right? That they're not mislabeled or compromised in some way. This must be fought for as well because it's not going to be simple because we're going to need an entire new industry with entire new testing, entire new leadership, and we're going to have a different world going forward with any luck at all. But I do think that the winds of change blowing back on the drug industry and big pharma and cooperation with FDA at the government level, that is over. Those days are over. Their goose is cooked. They are caught. Their corruption, their corrupt ways are going to be reversed. We don't know how much. I'm sure there's always going to be, I have no illusions. There's always going to be some level of corruption in Washington. But we're getting change. We're getting a change. And I think we're going to get a more tenable, a more winnable. We're going to get a place at the table. We're going to get a position in Washington as a supplement industry and a nutritional industry that is much more fair and balanced when we fight back against big pharma, big fast food, when we want to be a counterbalance, as I've said before, as I've said in many videos. We just want a fair shot to fight for the public's attention and to fight for things that can make people healthier and not just sicker and not just treat the sick. Let's treat people from a nutritional standpoint, and then we'll take a look at the diseases that we have to then fight with acute drugs. So this brings me to our buddy David Sinclair. David Sinclair picked the losing side. He picked Big Pharma, and he picked up the phone, and he called people like Kara Welch at FDA, and he buddied with them, and he hung out with them, and they told him what he wanted to hear, and he tried to do things their way. He tried to play the game as it's been played by the drug industry for decades, and he lost. He created a supplement cottage industry of NMN and other ingredients. He created this community. It wouldn't be here if it wasn't for David Sinclair. He created all of this. And then he betrayed us. He ran away from us, and he ran to Big Pharma. That's where he saw the dollar signs. That's where he thought government was the way for him to win big. And he lost because he made his bet at the wrong time when there's significant blowback to the FDA and to Big Pharma and to the food industry at large. And I've said this many times. His timing stunk. And so what I'd like to say, and I'm going to talk more about this in another video, but I'd like to say to David Sinclair, come back to the supplement industry in a big way. Come back, admit some mistakes, and you will be welcomed with open arms because people have long memories. People do remember the things that you brought to us. It's just that you've tried very hard to undo those things. It's time to embrace the supplement industry, the nutritional industry, the exercise industry, all of these areas that you've had an impact, you've had an influence. It's time to come back. And I really hope one thing he could do, he could come on a channel like this. He could come on this channel. Don't think it's going to happen. Not holding my breath. And I'd welcome him back. I'd virtually shake his hand if we didn't do it in person. And I'd say, listen, we all followed your words. We just think you got off the rails with the whole FDA Metro thing. But it's time to come back. Come back to the supplement industry. Get behind NMN as an ingredient that everybody should have access to anywhere in the country. Get back in that mindset, and you will be welcome back to the supplement industry, longevity industry. There'll be some holdouts. There's going to be people holding grudges. And I would say to those people, you know what? Again, the world is not black and white. There's nuance, there's color, there's gray area. And we have to be reasonable, and we have to accept our scientific minds who are proponents of the things that we believe in, the things that we actively take part in. And so, we do need to welcome them back. I know not everyone will. I understand that. But hey, if I'm willing to, as much as I've said about him, I think most of us can get behind such a thing if he were to come back and sincerely state, hey, I believe in natural ingredients as supplements, and I'm here to support them. If he would come back and express some kind of regret for the way things unfolded and the role that he played in them, I am certain. In fact, much of the longevity community has not turned their back on him. He still has a significant level of support in the longevity realm. He still speaks at conferences. He still gets applauses. He still is supported. There's just a hardcore NMN million people out here. Most of us don't support his moves that hurt us. And that's where he can make up some ground. And I think that's where he's resonated. And you need to pay attention where your message resonates. That's all I've got for today. Thanks for sticking with this campaign, this effort. And I'm talking about NMN. I'm not talking about the election results. Guys, it's a revolving door. It's time to move on, or slowly start to move on and heal from that if you're on that side. And if you're on a high, great, slowly come back down to earth and understand there's a lot of work and healing and unity that needs to be accomplished in the country, and certainly for the benefit of all. I mean, mental wellness is part of nutrition, is part of health. Part of what we want is mental health, right? Not just physical health. And that can be accomplished by just coming to terms with reality and accepting it, moving on, and fighting for a new day, a better day for everybody, for all of us. Thanks for watching. I really do appreciate you. I'll talk to you soon.